Have you ever felt that the life you're living is far from what it should be, as if there's something greater, deeper, waiting to be discovered? The truth is, at some point, we all begin to realize that there's a spiritual journey happening within us, even if we're not consciously aware of it. Spiritual awakening is a process that can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine, leading to an expansion of your consciousness, a deep connection with the universe, and a clearer understanding of who you really are. But this journey doesn't happen all at once. It occurs in stages. So which stage are you in? If you want to know how your level of energetic vibration and self-awareness can change your reality, stay until the end of this video. I'll show you the 6 transformative stages of spiritual awakening. And along this journey, you'll understand how you can align your life with the quantum field and manifest your most authentic essence. Because believe me, the more you align yourself, the more the universe conspires in your favor. So, are you ready to discover where you are and what you need to do to evolve? Let's begin. For many, spiritual awakening feels like opening your eyes for the first time after a long sleep. Imagine yourself living on autopilot, where everything you do, feel, and react to is dictated by invisible forces, your ego. The ego is that part of us that insists on maintaining control, creating a separate identity, and constantly reinforcing the idea of me against the world. It's as if life becomes a survival game, but without realizing the true nature of the game. The first spark of awakening is recognizing that we're trapped in this cycle, repeating unconscious and automatic patterns. Many don't realize that these patterns actually prevent us from living our true essence. And it's this awareness, this initial spark, that lights the path to spiritual evolution. It's interesting how, once we start noticing the ego's game, everything changes. Suddenly, moments that used to go unnoticed, a rude word, an impulsive reaction, a negative thought, become opportunities for observation. Is this really me, or is it my ego acting? You begin to ask yourself. And that question alone is already a sign of progress. After all, the ego has a fascinating ability to make us believe that we are our reactions, our worries, and our limiting beliefs. The initial awakening, then, is precisely that flash of consciousness that makes us question, what if there's something beyond this mask I call me? The ego's fight to stay in control is strong, and it doesn't give up easily. It's like a shadow that follows you wherever you go. When you begin to question it, it tries to convince you that without it, you'll be lost. How many times, when making an important decision, have you found yourself stuck between fear and the need to maintain an image? That's the ego in action. However, spiritual awakening isn't about eliminating the ego, but about seeing it for what it truly is, an illusion. And by recognizing this illusion, you begin to see that true power lies in something much deeper, something that can't be touched by life's storms. But what happens after that first moment of awakening? What happens when you realize that your identity, your ambitions, and your pains were built by this invisible entity called the ego? That's when things get really interesting. Because once you start dismantling that mask, you're ready for something even more transformative: the death of the ego. And at this point, many people experience the biggest shock of their lives. The death of the ego is an experience that can be both liberating and frightening. After all, what would we be without the me, we've carried for so long. Imagine living your entire life believing that you are your opinions, your memories, your name, and your story. And suddenly, all of that begins to crumble. This collapse is often described as a feeling of emptiness or loss of identity. But it's exactly in this deconstruction that the opportunity for rebirth lies. Letting go of fixed ideas of who you think you are creates space for something much greater. The ego, with its insistence on controlling and defining, finally dissolves, paving the way for a new understanding of yourself. This process can be uncomfortable, it's true. After all, the ego is a powerful construct, formed over years by social, familial, and cultural influences. When we start questioning these structures, it can feel like the ground disappears beneath our feet. If I'm not this person I've always believed myself to be, then who am I? That's the big question that arises after the collapse of the ego. And at this moment, many feel vulnerable, almost as if they're losing a part of themselves. But at the same time, it's this very feeling that leads us to seek something deeper, a truth that can't be undone or manipulated by the superficial layers of our existence. What few understand is that the death of the ego isn't an end, but a beginning. When we leave behind imposed identities, we begin to glimpse the unlimited potential of our authentic self. It's like cleaning a dusty mirror. Suddenly, you see yourself clearly, without the distortions the ego caused. Of course, the ego will try to resist this process. It will throw doubts, fears, and insecurities, trying to convince you that without it, there's no purpose or direction. But as ancient wisdom says, you can't fill a cup that's already full. To embrace the fullness of your essence, you must empty yourself of illusions. And once this process begins, something incredible happens. The existential questions that once seemed unanswered start to take shape. You feel an uncontrollable urge to seek the truth, to dive into spiritual teachings, to meditate and study the great masters. Everything that was confusing starts to align. But this quest, as we'll see, is just the next step in this journey of self-discovery and consciousness expansion. After all, who wouldn't want to discover the true purpose of their existence? After the ego collapses, what's left is an open field of possibilities. This is the moment when the search for truth becomes almost inevitable. The old identity, built on limiting beliefs and external expectations, no longer satisfies. It's as if a window to the universe has been opened, revealing that there's so much more to explore. Meditation, spiritual reading, and studying deep teachings begin to take center stage in a person's life. They begin to realize that what was once considered important, status, recognition, material accumulation, no longer holds the same weight. The quest is now internal, a journey towards the purest essence of being. It's interesting how, at this stage, many people turn to spiritual masters and books that explore the mysteries of the universe. Works like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda are common reads for those on this journey. These works help illuminate the path, offering insights into what it really means to live with purpose and authenticity. But this search for truth isn't just about external study. It's also internal, a constant reflection on our actions, thoughts, and vibrations. Questions like, what is my purpose? What is the nature of reality? And how can I connect with universal consciousness? begin to emerge naturally. In this search, meditation becomes a fundamental practice. It's no wonder that so many masters speak about the importance of quieting the mind to hear inner wisdom. Through meditation, one begins to realize that the truth isn't out there, but inside each of us, waiting to be discovered. Over time, this practice allows us to access deeper layers of consciousness, connecting us with the quantum field that permeates all existence. And it's in this state of full presence that we understand that truth is not something fixed or static, but rather a dynamic flow of experiences and insights. This realization opens doors to a new understanding of reality, where everything is interconnected. The search for truth is continuous, a dance between acquired knowledge and inner wisdom. And as we progress on this journey, we discard what doesn't resonate with our true essence and incorporate what uplifts us. But after this intense search, something even greater begins to manifest: the emergence of our authentic self. And when this authentic self emerges, everything around us starts to change. With the ego undone and the truth beginning to reveal itself, the next stage brings one of the most powerful moments of the spiritual journey: the emergence of the authentic self. At this point, the person begins to shed the masks they have worn for so long, those constructed to please others, meet social expectations, or simply fit into imposed standards. It's as if, for the first time, the true self starts to emerge without the distortions created by society or the ego. This process, while liberating, can be challenging, as it's not always easy to abandon roles we have played our entire lives. The emergence of the authentic self is marked by a reassessment of all areas of life. Relationships that once seemed satisfactory begin to feel superficial. Occupations that once provided some form of security start to sound like prisons. It's common, for example, for people at this stage to distance themselves from friendships that no longer resonate with their new vibration, or even change careers in search of something more aligned with their inner truth. The need to live a more authentic life, congruent with their essence, becomes non-negotiable. It's as if, finally, there's harmony between who the person is inside and what they manifest in the external world. It's interesting to note that at this stage, many feel a deep desire to simplify their lives. This may manifest in actions like letting go of excessive material possessions, transitioning to a more minimalist lifestyle, or even seeking more contact with nature, which is a great source of connection with universal consciousness. With each authentic choice, the person feels their vibrational frequency rise, and this new vibration begins to attract people, situations, and experiences that are more. After all, the universe responds to our vibration, and when we are in tune with our essence, everything around us starts to reflect that change. But this transformation doesn't stop there. As the authentic self emerges, so does a new way of living, a life where the person feels connected to the universe and lives in harmony with universal laws, integrating spiritual wisdom into every aspect of their existence. This is the next stage, a life aligned, where the inner self and the external world coexist in perfect synchronicity. Reaching the stage of a fully aligned life is like achieving the pinnacle of balance between body, mind, and spirit, where every aspect of existence fits together smoothly and naturally. At this moment, the individual no longer struggles against doubts or fears, but lives according to their inner truth, in total harmony with the universe. The sense of disconnection that once caused anguish disappears, giving way to an inner peace that permeates every decision and action. Every word spoken and every choice made is guided by a deep wisdom, a kind of internal spiritual compass that always points to the right path. This wisdom does not appear overnight. It is the result of a process of awakening and gradual alignment with one's essence, a journey that transforms the relentless search for answers into a calm and gratifying expansion of consciousness. Living in harmony with this inner truth also means understanding the deep interconnection between all beings and elements around us. What once seemed separate or fragmented now reveals itself as part of an interconnected whole. Compassion, gratitude, and conscious choices take on new dimensions as the individual realizes that every gesture, every thought, and every intention reverberates in the universe and affects the quantum field around them. Universal laws, such as the law of attraction, become clear at this stage, as the vibrational frequency of the being is in sync with what the universe returns. What is emitted in terms of energetic vibration comes back, providing the individual with exactly what they need to continue their journey of spiritual growth. When one lives in alignment with their essence, the process of manifestation becomes natural and organic rather than a forced pursuit. The person begins to attract what truly resonates with their being, creating space for spiritual flourishing. Still, living an aligned life does not mean being immune to challenges and obstacles. The big difference is that these challenges are no longer faced with fear or resistance, but are seen as opportunities for growth and evolution. There is an unshakable trust that the universe, with its infinite wisdom, conspires in favor of our well-being and spiritual evolution. Problems and difficulties are perceived as moments to refine and further strengthen this cosmic connection, rather than as punishments or misfortunes. When one reaches this level of understanding, life flows more lightly, and the highs and lows are accepted with serenity, without the need for obsessive control over what happens. Instead, there is a deep acceptance that everything is happening for a greater reason, and that each experience, no matter how challenging it seems, brings with it a valuable lesson for the soul. At this stage, spiritual healing becomes a continuous and natural process, without haste or anxiety. The person realizes that the journey is as important as the destination, and that each step of the journey has its value. Living in alignment means acting in harmony with universal laws, with an open heart to life and a serene mind, knowing that the expansion of consciousness is infinite. What once seemed like the final goal is now understood as a starting point for an ever-deepening connection with universal wisdom. This creates a sense of lightness, peace, and fulfillment that completely transforms how the person relates to the world around them. After all, this alignment is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new phase of continuous growth, where the expansion of consciousness and spirituality never ends. Now that you know the 6 transformative stages of spiritual awakening, it's time to reflect. Which of these stages are you in? Maybe you are still dealing with the challenges of the ego, or perhaps you've already started to notice your authentic self emerging. The important thing is to remember that this journey is not linear, and each step taken is an opportunity for expanding your consciousness and aligning with the universe. And it's not just about knowing these stages, but applying them in your daily life. After all, what's the point of understanding the process if we're not ready to live it? So, what's the next step for you? Meditate more. Delve deeper into self-knowledge. Maybe it's time to start manifesting the life you truly desire through the law of attraction, raising your energetic vibration. Whatever the answer, remember, you are on the right path and the universe is on your side. If you want to continue this journey, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content that will help with your spiritual development. Leave a like, share your experiences in the comments, and watch the next video that will appear on the screen. You won't want to miss it because we're just getting started. See you next time.